Every great World Cup team eventually discovers one player they simply cannot live without. For England, that player is Jude Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham continues to be the hero here. I've ran out of words. I'm too stupid to know vocabulary to describe what he's doing.
Every knockout match follows the exact same script. England struggle. The attack disappears. The midfield loses control. Fans start believing it's over. And then Jude Bellingham decides the game isn't finished yet.
Again, we got match winners. We got Jude, who was the game changer again today. And
extra time against Norway proved it again. With everyone else running on empty, Bellingham suddenly found another gear. One touch to kill the ball, another to glide past defenders who simply couldn't keep up. Seconds later, the ball was sitting in the back of the net, and England's World Cup dream was alive once more.
Oh, Bellingham's going to get there. Jude Bellingham!
That wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It's become a terrifying pattern.
And we are relying on an absolute bona fide all-timer in Jude Bellingham to bail us out time and time again.
6 World Cup goals, back-to-back knockout heroics, the second youngest player since Pelé to score in consecutive World Cup knockout matches. So, how did England become completely dependent on one 23-year-old? And why should every remaining team be terrified of what comes next? Go back to that Norway equalizer, because it tells you almost everything. Gordon feeds it into him, and Bellingham just kills the ball dead with one touch. Then he's past the first defender, then the second, and neither of them can get close enough to even make it a contest. Left foot, bottom corner, under 3 seconds from the first touch to net.
Gordon gets around and ball into Jude. He's still got 2 defenders on him. Going away from the goal, strikes it into the far corner. World class, man. It was just like, oh, okay. Well, Norway's playing really well. They're defending great, and England has Jude. Was kind of how I felt.
Here's the thing about him physically. He doesn't look quick in the way wingers look quick. He's built more like a bigger midfielder, not some sprinter with a low center of gravity. But that size works for him, not against him, because defenders bounce off him instead of stopping him.
4 or 5 bodies around him. He gets the ball on the edge of the box. He just drives through. And with every sort of half yard, you're thinking, bro, release, release, release. But nobody can get near him. It's like he's got Android 17 force field around him, where when he's on that ball in the box, you just can't do anything about it.
They go to make the tackle and end up on the floor, while he's already 10 yards up the pitch. And he's not just doing this in attack.
Jude Bellingham defensively is as good as anyone in midfield. You could play him at the base of a midfield. Offensively, linking up plays as good as anyone. His weight of pass is as good as anyone.
Watch him without the ball and you'll see him recovering possession in midfield, tracking runners back into his own box, covering spaces that England's back line keeps leaving open. This tournament has exposed England's defense over and over. And it's Bellingham, a midfielder, who's been plugging a lot of those gaps. Tactically, Tuchel uses him everywhere.
So within 3 substitution, Jude Bellingham, within that first 40, within the second half, he went from a 6 to an 8 to a 10, back to an 8, back to a 6.
One phase of the game, he's a number 10, floating between the lines. Next phase, he's dropped deep, helping circulate the ball when England need to slow things down. Then he'll shift wide to create an overload when Tuchel needs an extra body out there. And somehow, none of that breaks England's shape. He just slots into whatever the moment needs.
Thomas Tuchel knew what he wanted, and that was to give Jude Bellingham the warning, the shot across the bows, that your place is not guaranteed, that I need the real Jude Bellingham to turn up, the guy that takes a game by the scruff of the neck, the guy that scores important goals, the guy that works hard, the leader, the superstar.
Look at the stat line from this tournament and it backs up everything you're seeing with your own eyes. He leads England in progressive carries, in duels won, in recoveries, and in chances created. All 4 categories, same 90 minutes. Nobody else on this team touches all 4 of those numbers at once, and that's before you even factor in the 6 goals. Nobody else does all of that. That's the point.
I've kept saying it for the past couple months. I've kept saying it for the past couple years that Don't compare him to anyone else. And I've kept it before the tournament started with England. I said that he's the most important player and he's the best player. Everyone talking about Harry Kane Ballon d'Or, but where's Harry Kane Ballon d'Or? Where's Harry Kane Ballon d'Or? This is Jude's team, bro. This is why Tuchel has built the team around Jude, because he's the main man.
Now, here's where it gets more interesting than just numbers, because a lot of players can carry a stat sheet and still fold when a tournament turns nasty. Bellingham is 23 years old, but he plays like someone who's already been through 10 of these things. There's no panic in him. None. Go back to Norway again, because it's the clearest example. England go a goal down. The crowd gets nervous, and instead of shrinking into himself, Bellingham starts demanding more of the ball.
Like, we played against, obviously, Norway today, and we were struggling for, the second half. We were the second best team in the game.
Yep.
But Jude just manages to find the way to get the ball and put it in the back of the net.
More responsibility. More of the game gets funneled through him. That's the opposite of what most players do in that moment. Most players want less of the burden when a knockout game starts slipping away. He wants more.
Jude Bellingham, it's not just the goals. It's the fact that he looks like a guy that believes and wants to take England all the way. The work rate has been sensational. The taking the ball in and taking it away, taking the pressure away from England in dangerous areas has been unbelievable, and the goals stand for themselves.
Tuchel said it plainly after the game. His words. He does it every single match. World class. And Tuchel said that while also admitting the team performance overall had been poor. That's worth sitting with. Tuchel wasn't happy with England that night, called it sloppy, called it lucky, said they needed to be much better, and in the middle of all that criticism, there was still no hesitation on Bellingham. Enough said. World class. Next question. The pundits picked up on the same thing. Thierry Henry stood there after the game talking about desire and who wanted it more, and kept coming back to Bellingham's name over on the ESPN panel. The debate wasn't whether he's been good, it was whether England can survive at all without him bailing them out every single time. And that fearlessness doesn't stay contained to him, it spreads.
What Jude Bellingham did today was once again showing that grit, that English mentality that I think he is carrying himself and the rest of the team just feeds off of.
England keep finding goals in the 90th minute, in extra time, in moments where most teams would have folded. They keep surviving matches that, on paper, they probably shouldn't be surviving.
They struggled against Congo, they won. They struggled against Mexico, they won. They struggled here today, and they won. This team is super freaking good, and I think they're very mentally tough at the same time.
That's not accidental. That comes from somewhere, and it comes from the guy in the middle of the pitch who refuses to hide. There's already talk in the England camp about who captains this team once Kane's time is done, and Bellingham's name comes up first. Not because of the armband, not because of tradition, because that's how he carries himself when things go wrong. That's the leadership marker that actually matters.
And then obviously the next thing is there's been conversation a while back about, if Harry Kane's not England captain, who the next England captain to be, and everyone says Declan Rice. For me,
no chance.
Jude Bellingham is the next England captain. He should be the next England captain, not just because of his performance in this tournament, but everything about him. You love to play with players like that, with that edge, that belief, knows who he is, the desire, wants to do well, but also wants to challenge players around him to do well also. Fantastic performance by him again.
And this isn't a one-off. It's not one big mentality moment against Norway that everyone's overreacting to. Go back through every single knockout game England have played, and the pattern is the same. When it gets hard, he gets bigger. Now, the semi-final. Argentina, Messi. And here's the comparison that's impossible to avoid. Messi's been the heartbeat of the world champions for years. The guy who everyone knows they have to stop first. England are walking into this game with their own version of that same problem for whoever's marking them. Except their version just turned 23 and is still figuring out how good he can be.
Going into the Argentina game, he is as important to that match as Messi is to Argentina. That's how That's how you got to key in on him if you're the opposing team. You have to shut that player down if you want to have a chance at winning the match. Jude Bellingham is becoming that at 23 years of age.
Take Bellingham out of the Norway game for a second. Actually pull him off the pitch. No equalizer before half-time. No second goal in extra time. No semi-final.
They don't have Jude Bellingham at this tournament. Where's England, bro? What's England doing at Estadio Azteca? What's England doing tonight? What are they doing?
That's not dramatic exaggeration. That's just what happens when you remove the guy who scored both goals. England go home. Norway are the ones in Miami this weekend, not England. That's exactly why the panel shows have been arguing about this. The debate on ESPN wasn't polite either. Question on the table: can England actually survive a tournament like this without Bellingham bailing them out every single match? And nobody on that panel had a clean answer, because the honest answer is nobody knows. It hasn't been tested yet. There's a theory floating around, and it's worth saying plainly that it is a theory, not a fact. Some pundits think England's other attackers are riding his performances instead of building their own. That's Saka, Gordon, whoever's out wide that day. They're not creating separately from him, they're just existing in the space he opens up.
No player that was in the Premier League leading up into this World Cup has bagged for England. Funny how the best league in the world does not have a player that is stepping up in the attack to help Jude and to help Harry Kane.
But there's another side to that argument, and it is the stronger one. Bellingham doesn't just cover for the players around him, he actually makes them better. Morgan Rogers has played some of his best football with Bellingham pulling defenders out of position around him. Elliot Anderson's tracking, his passing, his reading of the game, all of it's looked sharper playing next to him. That's not a guy hiding weaker teammates, that's a guy raising the floor for everyone else on the pitch. Which brings us to Argentina, and there's nowhere left to hide behind. No flopping keeper, bailing England out like against Norway. No Skycam controversy to argue about for 3 days after. Just Bellingham, directly against Messi's team, with a place in the World Cup final sitting right there.
Then you've got two teams on this side who are scrapping every single game for their lives and getting through. It's intriguing what's going to happen.
And Argentina have scrapped as well. I mean that as a compliment. Have scrapped as well as anybody, haven't they?
Yeah, and when it comes, if that's the game,
Egypt.
Yeah, if that's the game you have to play with them, then that's. I think that we've got the capability of actually going toe to toe with them. But they have got Messi, just like we've got Bellingham.
However this tournament ends for England, one thing's already true. It ends with Bellingham's fingerprints on almost everything that went right. England aren't in this semi-final because they've been the best team at this World Cup. They're there because they've got the tournament's most complete midfielder wearing their shirt, doing the job of 3 players at once. Second youngest after Pelé to score in back-to-back knockout games, and he's still only 23. He's still building the case that this is his tournament. Subscribe for more World Cup breakdowns like this one, and drop a comment. Does Bellingham finish this tournament as the best young player in the world?